Hey, so today's video is going to be about a 9-part series on TikTok that I watched last night about this District 20 or D20, which I think it stands for district. So this man named Derrick Wilburn. So Derrick Wilburn decided that he was going to take some books out of the school libraries, right, in this district. And one of them was the book Push. Now, the book Push is the fictionalized story of a woman named, I think her name is Clarice.
Hello, Clarice.
But Precious is what we probably would know because that's the movie that was named. It was named Precious, which is her middle name. And the story of Precious is this really sad story of this girl that gets SA'd, and she gets pregnant at a young age, and just her life does not go well, right? And there's really bad language in this book, and I believe there's a lot of bad language in the movie, which I don't care about, but it was written from the perspective of the main character. So that gives you a little bit of insight. Now, after we go through these, I'm putting a little bonus at the end of this that's going to go over a little thread of Goodreads about that book Push, which now I really want to read the book Push. And yes, it's graphic. Yes, it's disturbing. It's meant to be. It's meant to be disturbing. And I don't believe any book should be banned, not even religious text. I don't think that should be banned. Because if we implore people to think for themselves, then we're creating a society where they can read a religious text and not be drawn into the magic of it and not be drawn into the mysticism of it. It's a dog and pony show. All religion is a dog and pony show. That said, just because I'm not religious, it doesn't mean somebody else can't be.
Now, we've all seen political gaffes and missteps and words mispronounced and whatnot. But I don't think that I have ever seen any candidate for any office ever completely obliterate their own primary talking point as well and as thoroughly as what happened at an Academy District 20 candidate forum this past Wednesday in Colorado Springs. Now, I've mentioned Derrick Wilburn before. He is running for school board director position in Academy District 20, which is my local school district here in Colorado Springs. Now, he's said and done plenty of absurd things over the last few years, specifically related to public education. And he and a small group of parents in the district, they've been railing against so-called sexually explicit material in school libraries and have been working very diligently in order to have those books banned from the libraries, ostensibly to protect the children from being exposed to harmful material. And lately his argument has been that as taxpayers, we shouldn't be expected to pay for these things that they disagree with. But at this candidate forum this past Wednesday night, he just really outdid himself. And whenever I show you this clip, I want you to pay special attention to the context. And the context of this forum, it's going to be shown in the title.
Please forgive me in advance. Title is Push. Page 32. Daddy put his smelling thing in my mouth. My that never hold me. I see me, first grade, pink dress, dirty stuff on it. About 3 months after baby's born, I'm 12 when this happens, Mama slapped me hard. Then she picked up a cast iron skillet and she hit me so hard I fall back on the floor. Then she kicks me in the ribs and she say, "Thank you, Ms. Clarice Precious Jones, for fucking my husband, you nasty little slut. Fat cunt, bucket slut, bitch, big, all them telling you motherfuckers at the damn hospital, I should you," she screamed at me. This book is gay, page 156, How Sex Apps Work. Number 1, upload a tiny picture of yourself to the app. Number 2, the app works out your location. Number 3, the app tells you who the nearest homosexuals are. Number 4, you then chat to them. Number 5, because they are near, it's easy to meet up with them if you're looking for fun. This is a book explaining to our children how to make themselves available to sexual predators. The previous book is describing a first grader forced to give to her father, and when her mother finds out, she beats the living daylight out of her. Title: The Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Indian, page 64. Did you know that Indians are living proof that niggas fuck buffalo? That book is available in Chinook Trail Middle School Library. I'm a Black American, and my ancestors did not have intercourse with buffalo. If you want your children to have access to and read this material, that's none of my business. But as an independent taxpayer in this district, don't ask me to pay for it. As a member of this board of directors, don't ask me to force you to pay for it, because the answer to both is no.
So yeah, he spent 2 minutes of his speaking time reading excerpts from books that he finds objectionable for one reason or another. And I'm not going to deny that some of it was explicit. It absolutely was explicit. The tale that Sapphire relays in the book Push, it's explicit and it's tragic and it's horrifying. That doesn't mean that it doesn't have any merit. But the more important point here is that he's been railing for a long time about removing sexually explicit material from school libraries to protect the kids. Okay, let's set this context just a little bit more clear. There are going to be 3 different candidate forums within Academy District 20 over the next few weeks. There was the student-led forum that was this past Wednesday at a middle school. There's going to be another one that's moderated by a local news station and the League of Women Voters that's coming up in a few weeks. And then there's going to be another one that's going to be held at Charis Christian Center, which is a Christian nationalist church attached to Andrew Womack's Truth and Liberty Coalition and Charis Bible College. So that one should be interesting, but that's an aside. So there's 3 different candidate forums. Why would it ever occur to Derrick that of those 3 forums, the place to read the sexually explicit material would have been at a middle school to kids directly? It's just mind-blowing that he ever would have thought this was going to be a good idea. If you're railing against sexually explicit material and it's one of your primary talking points while you've been campaigning, what would have ever made you think that you should just blow your entire argument completely out of the water by proving and showing very clearly that this has nothing to do with protecting kids from anything? Not only that, but Derrick and his little group of minions are constantly talking about parental choice and parents being able to make the decisions like for their kids. How many of the parents who brought their kids to that student-led forum at a middle school this past Wednesday night were expecting and had any choice about whether or not Derrick was going to be reading sexually explicit material to their kids? They didn't get any choice in that. He took that choice completely away from them. I have never seen anyone just so completely and utterly obliterate their main talking point.
Yeah, and it goes into some music that's, I think, copyrighted anyway. So, yeah, he's not wrong. It's this guy, Derrick, I forgot his last name already, did not notify parents. He didn't ask for their permission. He didn't give them any kind of heads up that, hey, I'm going to be reading some sexually explicit material. It's going to have lots of swear words in it. So, also, why would you do that at a middle school? Like, that makes no sense to me. If I was a parent, now I'm not a parent, but you know what? I don't need to be a parent to know kind of how I would react in certain situations. And there are a lot of parents that are rightfully upset. This isn't even the worst part of this story. We're not even there yet. This is just the beginning of the story, where this man read sexually explicit things, the stuff he's trying to protect these children from. He's reading this graphic shit to them directly, blindsiding their parents, traumatizing their kids. And yes, this can be traumatizing to some children. That's not a good argument for taking it out of a library. It is, however, a good argument why this man, this grown-ass adult, should have thought better. But we all know it's not actually about the children. It never is. It never will be. Not when it comes from conservatives. That's it. Whenever conservatives says we're here to protect the children, it's never, ever, ever about the children. So let's go on to the next one. So the next part isn't really like, he doesn't say anything, but the text on it reads, Academy District 20 Board of Education Director mouthing the word jackass during community members' public comments. D20 Board President Aaron Salt instructed their IT department to kill the video feed during public comment because he can't keep his board.
Parents, and I don't want to talk about bullying. Raising 3 kids through multiple school districts, we've seen our share of bullying. We've been part of restorative conversations and other resolutions, some better than others. And one thing I know to be very true is this: a bully in school left unchecked grows up to be a bullying adult. In March of 2022, a person I had never heard of decided to launch a cyberbullying campaign against me and my family. That's my family right there. Say hi. I think bullies should always get the chance to see their marks. Over the course of a few weeks and months, this person leveraged their triggered hatred for me as content for their online presence. They attacked me repeatedly with disdain. They mocked my appearance. They scrubbed my social media looking for content and shared my posts via screenshots alongside their colorful and sophomoric commentary. This individual, who never met or spoken to me, chose to bring my family into this as well. They called out my minor children by name. They made false allegations and accusations about me, defaming my character and name. They educated me on internet technology and things like NS lookup, traceroute, ping, to create fear for my family's personal safety. They said, and I quote, "I don't like getting personal with people on social media or on my podcast. I don't think it's appropriate. I don't name names, doxing people, putting their name on the internet. That's not helping our country, but tonight I'm going to." End quote. Then they posted what they thought was my home address on the internet for their viewers to see. It was actually my ISP's address. They spelled my name out to make sure it was clear who they were trying to share their personal information of. In short, they showed who they really were: a classless, tactless, cowardly bully lacking in integrity or morals. So why am I concerned? I think it's clear, and you'd agree, that a schoolyard bully left unchecked grows into a cowardly, narcissistic, angry, vengeful adult bully that behaves the same way to those around them. The person who launched that attack against me and my family now sits on this board. And if you find that laxity of character to be as reprehensible as I do, I'd ask that you lean on your character and integrity and do what should have been done a while ago and encourage a voluntary resignation from this board for anybody lacking in the character becoming of a D20 board member. We have a portrait of a D20 graduate. We need a portrait of a D20 board member as well. Thank you.
Real interesting, because when these parents started speaking out, this guy started sending the cease and desist letters, started sending, doxing this guy and his family. Although he didn't actually dox this guy, which is good. It was his ISP's address. But he's naming his children. So what? They can be harassed? So you can intimidate the children, intimidate the parents into being quiet? These parents aren't going to be quiet, though, which is good.
Good evening. As a father, my main responsibility is to protect my children from harm. As a father to a little girl, the worst thing I can think of is her innocence being violated. It being violated by a grown man is my nightmare. But that's our reality. It's been 3 months since Mr. Wilburn decided to read explicit sexual passages to young children at the student forum held at Chinook Trail Middle School.
Sir, we've
My
talked about the
11-year-old
fact
daughter
that
left
personal
this event
attacks are not to
completely
be
distraught, and
taken
nothing
here.
has been done to acknowledge the trauma
Sir.
they caused.
We're not doing personal attacks here, as was mentioned earlier. Thank you.
For 3 months, there's been no acknowledgement, no apology, no attempt to address the distress caused to these kids, the lack of accountability or remorse for subjecting impressionable children to explicit content is unacceptable. I implore this board to acknowledge the gravity of this situation, not just for my daughter, but for the children whose innocence was recklessly disregarded. Our children trust us as parents and as the community to provide a safe and nurturing environment. We are supposed to trust you, the board representing our school district, to keep our kids safe. Instead, we are witnessing the very people entrusted to keep them safe inflicting the harm. The trauma caused by these actions can't be overstated, and it's the responsibility of this board to ensure that incidents like this never happen again. I demand a sincere acknowledgement of the harm caused, a public apology, and a commitment to safeguarding our children's emotional well-being moving forward.
This man's young daughter was traumatized by what she had to listen to. he did not get to make an informed decision for his own daughter. And I love how these conservatives are like, oh, parents have rights. These parents need rights. Only. Parents only get rights if they align with the corrupt politician. It's really weird how that works. But the moment they go against that corruption, they get doxxed, they get silenced, or at least attempted to. And good on these parents for no, we're not doing that. I don't care what you do to me. I'm exposing you. I'm exposing you in a big way. Derrick Wilburn will be exposed. And it's kind of beautiful. Because I am so sick of these conservative people that want to just take over everything.
2 weeks ago, I received a cease and desist letter in the mail from a lawyer friend of Derrick Wilburn. This letter, intended to intimidate me and prevent me from speaking about what Mr. Wilburn did to my daughter, threatens that unless I retract and apologize for the untrue statements I have made, he will take legal action against me for defamation. Therefore, I will spend the next 1 minute and 30 seconds apologizing for the following untrue statements that I have made about Derrick Wilburn.
She holds up a blank piece of paper. And for the next 1 minute and 30 seconds, she says absolutely nothing. Because there's nothing to apologize for. And she's making a statement here. She's making the statement that no amount of intimidation, no amount of cease and desist letters is going to make me shut up. Is going to make me apologize to you for calling you out. Because she said very true statements about Derrick Wilburn, who is an abhorrent human being. He could choose to be better, but he's choosing to not. He's choosing corruption. He's choosing, to use his religion as a weapon. He's weaponizing it against these parents. Tell me, how is that freedom? Who's free here?
Speaking of my daughter, she's had the new Taylor Swift album on repeat, and one song in particular had some lyrics that really seemed fitting here. In plain sight you hid, but you are what you did, and I'll forget you, but I'll never forgive the smallest man who ever lived.
Great. Thank you for all of our public commenters.
I'm not sure if he's actually shaking in his boots. I mean, he looks like he's, whatever, but I don't know. I think humans we're really good at trying to hold in our fear of being found out, our fear of, oh my God, they're going to figure out what I'm doing. Because the people who are doing the bad things are actually in fear of that. They really are.
How does the school board ensure that banned books do not negatively impact students' access to diverse and educational literature?
I do not curse. I'm going to speak some words now that have not come from my lips in 30 years. And I apologize in advance, ladies and gentlemen, for what you're about to hear. These are books currently available in District 20 school libraries. Please forgive me in advance. Title is Push. Page 32. Daddy put his pee-pee smelling thing in my mouth. My pussy but never hold me. I see me, first grade, pink dress, dirty sperm stuff on it. About 3 months after baby's born, I'm 12 when this happens, Mama slapped me hard. Then she picked up a cast iron skillet and she hit me so hard I fall back on the floor. Then she kicks me in the ribs and she say, "Thank you, Ms. Clarice Precious Jones, for fucking my husband, you nasty little slut. Fat cunt, bucket slut, nigger pitched big, all them tell you motherfuckers at the damn hospital I should kill you," she screamed at me.
And this is the guy you heard at the beginning.
This might be a little premature since any judge in their right mind would throw this garbage out immediately, but since I may be testifying in a lawsuit, I figured I'd get a little practice in.
Director Wilburn previously wrapped up in a defamation lawsuit with Alex Jones, of all people, for spreading misinformation and conspiracy theories about the tragedy in Charlottesville, is now threatening legal action against a parent for voicing criticism after Mr. Wilburn traumatized her child at last year's student-led candidate forum. It is astonishing how Mr. Wilburn, once a defendant in such a case, now uses such similar accusations to silence dissent. This hypocrisy is as blatant as it is reprehensible. Mr. Wilburn champions the First Amendment when it suits him, but tramples on it when others use their free speech to call out his actions. So let's be clear, the First Amendment protects freedom of speech, including the criticism of elected officials like Mr. Wilburn, especially when that criticism is based on concerns for children's exposure to age-inappropriate content. It's alarming considering his complete lack of judgment at a student-led forum where he used shock value to score political points while simultaneously destroying his argument about porn being available in school libraries. One has to wonder if these are the tactics he teaches to aspiring public servants at Charis Bible College. But this is all on par for the course. Mr. Wilburn has always used intimidation against his critics, including myself. In private forums, he has stooped to calling me a lying, cheating, immoral, Satan-worshipping SOB and expressed wishes of physical harm towards me. This behavior is not just unprofessional, it's unbefitting an elected official whose duty is to serve the community. So do we allow an D20 board member to misuse his position and intimidate those who dare to speak out? Or do we stand up for the principles of decency and accountability? So I urge every community member concerned about the integrity of our education system and our government to demand better. And board members, you do have options. The question is, will you let Derrick Wilburn drag you all down with him?
Are you going to just be okay and be complicit in his bad actions? Or are you actually going to do something about it? Like, that always blows my mind. When people are okay with like, yeah, he's doing bad things, but I don't really want to do anything about it. I'm comfortable. That is all about privilege. Because they don't have to do anything. It's not affecting them in a negative way. It's affecting, well, at least not yet. Because you notice how people don't tend to join a cause until it directly affects them. The next one is a previous dad from before, because he got cut off, because his mic got cut off.
Tim Hoffman, harassment recipient. The last time I shared this information, I was rudely interrupted, and Your Honor cut my mic, so I think it bears repeating. I work 2 jobs that require me to be trained, retrained, and certified on child protection. How to recognize risks, how to intervene, how to work proactively to protect children when risk behavior may be present. These requirements are stringent and they're applicable 24/7. In fact, my one employer stresses that this is not just on-the-job training. I'm expected to be aware of liability and risk to all children at all times and all places. There's a monster among us, and you guys know this. This person wouldn't be allowed to step 1 foot inside the gates of my school in Ethiopia. Does the country of Ethiopia care more about its children than we do? I would hope not, but this board's continual choice to ignore this situation is concerning. If I were to mimic and repeat the behavior of this person right here, right now, Your Honor would gavel me and my mic would be cut. This person should not be around children. That's something I would testify to and provide all the documentation to support to anybody. Furthermore, this person has recently laid claim to severe emotional distress due to truth spoken from right here, is now trying to use threats of litigation to stop those truths from being heard. This is the same person who for months stalked me and my family on social media, attempted to dox us online, referenced my children by name online, engaged in cyberbullying, threatened physical harm against me and others, lied to government entities while plagiarizing content they knew to not be theirs. This is also stuff I will happily testify to with receipts. The severely emotionally distressed person is also the same person who sits in this room, mouthing words during public comment, making pouty faces to the public while they share. There's severe distress involved. I just don't think it's emotional. You guys, what are we doing? What are you doing? I have to believe that you guys have more self-respect than your actions regarding this behavior have shown. This is the legacy your names on that wall out there are leaving. If you're good with your name being attached to that, I can't do anything about it. But if not, you can probably repeat with me. Do the right thing and encourage this person to voluntarily resign from this board and free the district from the liability they bring so that D20 can start building back the reputation it once had.
And then the very last one is really just a slide. And it says, protect the kids of D20. And it just says, on the bottom, it says a bunch of swear words that were in push. It would be one thing if he had gotten permission from these parents. Not that I think it would be right to still blindside the children themselves, but at least if you give parents an opportunity to talk to their children, or at least give them the opportunity to be like, you know what, I don't want you hearing this, so can you, or to say something against it. Be like, no, I don't want you to read that in front of my kids. We will not be there if you do that. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't give anyone a heads up until everyone was already there, sitting there. And then he's like, blah, blah, blah. I apologize ahead of time for what you're about to hear. Now that we're through all this, let's go. Let me read you, because this is just a special kind of fuckery. So I decided to go to Goodreads. I read some reviews, right? I was looking for what Push was about. And then I realized, oh, it's Precious. And I've seen that movie, but not read that book. So I am going to get that book now. So this person named Eva Marie wrote, it should be banned because it's the most stupid book ever written. I'd be horrified if I had to read this again. So the guy goes, thanks, Eva, for that brilliant assessment. Perhaps you should spend a little more time reading. This book stands as a testament to the perils of inner city life. Obviously, the resistance stems from those who would rather sweep these sort of things under the rug. And that's right. So this woman, Eva Marie, wrote back. She quoted what he said. And she's like, obviously, you have no sense of sarcasm. No, you're just not a good liar. You weren't sarcastic. And you'll see how she disproves her entire thing that she was sarcastic as she goes on. I'm willing to bet a large sum of money you've never lived in projects. I have. I've lived next to projects. What's your point? I was in low-income housing in the middle of projects. Like, there was projects on one side and projects on the other, and I was low-income housing. Low-income housing was like a slight step above projects. I'm willing to bet, I know what goes on in inner city life, and it's not what typically happens. I have no doubt that this girl is lying through her teeth. What teeth she might have, that is. That's a gross statement. But for the record, I was joking, so you may want to look into Learn to Recognize Sarcasm class soon. Yeah, maybe you should look into how to actually do sarcasm in text, because you're not good at it. For the record, this happens probably as much in inner city life as you'd find an abused child like this in suburbia. Open your freaking eyes. It goes on. Because then she quoted it again. So she went to his public profile on Goodreads. And then she responded again. Because Karen can't stop caring. Karening. Wow, that's hard to say. I'm sorry, I just read that first sentence. You've read 139 books listed. And are you telling me to read more? Okay, first of all, if you look at my Goodreads, I don't even have Goodreads, but if I did, it'd say 0. But does that mean I've read 0 books? No. It means I have not rated any books on Goodreads. Doesn't mean I haven't read books. That's a weird conclusion to draw from that. I would never look at someone's Goodread and say, oh, that's all the books they've read. Anyway, it gets better. Take a look at my open profile, sweetie. I hate when people do that. I read more than anyone you know, I bet. I hate this woman so much. And by the way, my assessment was brilliant. No, it wasn't. This mess is along the lines of phrase a million little pieces. Don't be mad that, like, sarcasm, you can see lies for what they are. Maybe she meant you can't see lies for what they are. Because if we leave the sentence as is, it doesn't make sense. Some of us get the short end of the stick. Now, go on and read and list your 140th book and be quiet. What an absolute wow. So Ryan responds, wow. Oh, were all those children's books though? Why don't we step back and compare the caliber of bookshelves? I read literature. My degrees in the field would actually confirm that, along with my presentations at literary conferences. You read books intended for people half your age. Your analysis, in air quotes, could have been better articulated by the audience intended for the books you read. Best of luck. Stick to the books with the pictures and leave the grown-up books with people who can handle them. She doesn't respond after that. But I just really thought that was, a really transparent way to really understand that this lady wasn't kidding. She didn't like the book because she doesn't want to be reminded that there is this ugliness that we love to sweep under the rug, that we don't like to look at. And while Precious Push is a fictionalized story, so it's like, how the Titanic, it was an actual boat and it actually sank and it's actually at the bottom of the Atlantic, right? Or at a shelf on the bottom of the Atlantic, or close to the bottom of the Atlantic, wherever the fuck it really is. But you know how they made that movie with Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet, and we all loved it, and we all cry every time we see it? Well, any of us that have any empathy or heart, and we love that story. It's just so beautiful and romantic, even though it's tragic. Rose didn't exist. She didn't exist. She wasn't a real person. She wasn't a real person on the Titanic. Think of that. A real life situation with a fictionalized story in it to kind of bring you through this real tragedy. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe.